Okay, there it is. All right. Well, good evening. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. And welcome to our final community cafe of 2025. We have been rocking and rolling. I cannot believe that Thanksgiving is next week. Okay. I really cannot believe that. And so we have we have an amazing speaker that's going to speak for us tonight. And we're just going to go ahead and get started. So here is our agenda. I'm not going to read it for you because I think that you can read, but I will give you just a moment to take a look to see what what's going to be going on. And with that, I am going to turn it over to our amazing president, Tatiana Elmore, to bring us welcome and greetings.
Welcome, welcome everyone. As Sharon mentioned, this is our final community cafe for the year, and it has been an ultimate pleasure to be with you all this year as we transition into a new year. I'm so excited to have our guest speaker here as we roll into National Family Engagement Month, and really excited about having the opportunity to have this space for our educators as well as our families to come together to demonstrate the importance of school to home connection. So welcome, welcome everyone. And at BCDI Atlanta, our mission is to ensure that we are providing opportunities to improve and advance the quality of lives for Black children and families in Georgia through education and advocacy. We want to make sure that we provide resources, programs, and services, as well as experts to come and present valuable information to help us continue to follow our mission. We have 4 major focus areas that we have been working with throughout this year. Our family engagement is right here. Our community cafe is one of our opportunities, as I mentioned, to engage our families as well as our educators. Our early care and education focus area is an area where we make sure that we provide professional development opportunities for educators, workforce development support, and coaches. We have some of our amazing coaches on today. And we also focus on literacy with our Read to Succeed program, where our mission and goal is to ensure that children have access to at-home libraries with books and resources that reflect them and their experiences. As well as public policy, we have the opportunity to work with various policy advocacies that allow us to shape the work that we do here at Black Child Development Institute. So I am very excited for us to have been able to successfully have programs for each of our focus areas this year. And so thank you all for being a part of this, as it is a part of our family engagement as well as our early care and education focus areas. All right. So as you all are aware, we are part of National Black Child Development Institute, where we believe that the first 8 years of a child's life sets the foundation for their health, safety, and overall well-being. So for the 8 essential outcomes, they provide a framework for Black children development from birth to age 8. If we're able to provide access, resources, and support around these 8 essential outcomes, we can truly envision a world in which every Black child is successful and thriving. As we approach the new year and the end of this next month, we have an amazing opportunity to gather together to see how we can make sure that we're incorporating all 8 of these essential outcomes into the work that we do to truly have the vision of Afrofuturism, to see and create the opportunity to create a space where our children in the next 20 years are able to touch all of these 8 essential outcomes to ensure that they are thriving in their lives. So again, welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so excited that you all are here, and I look forward to many more fun and engaging community cafes coming up in 2026.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, Tatiana. We really do appreciate your leadership. You picked up the ball and have been bouncing it ever since. So, for those of us who are here this evening, if we would take a moment to introduce ourselves to one another in the chat. And if you're, well, I think our name shows up when you put it in there, but you can put your name, your agency, your center, your school, your organization that you are representing tonight. And then I want you to try to use one word that describes family to you. One word that describes family to you. And I am going to go ahead and put mine in the chat as well. All right, I see it's coming in. Tatiana said her word is unity. And Brittany McDuffie, hey, Brittany, she is an educator at Georgia Southern Child Development Center, as well as a BCDI-Atlanta board member. Her word is together. My one word is everything. I think family is everything. Hey, Dr. Sheila. Dr. Sheila is here, and she is one of our Expand ECE coaches, and her word is connection. Her word is connection. Charlene, hey, Charlene with Lee County. She's also one of our BCDI Atlanta coaches, Expand ECE coaches, and she said foundation. Awesome. Hey, Keisha from McIntosh Trail, lead pre-K teacher who is also a ECE coach, Expand ECE coach, and she said her word is tribe. Awesome, awesome. Hey, Chantel, our speaker who is the founder of Elevate Training Solutions, and her one word is support. That is awesome. So for those of you who are watching the replay, make sure you put in the comments who you are, who you represent, and your one word that describes family. We want to hear from all of the voices who will watch our replay. And so we always talk about our community agreements because we are a community, and we will be working together tonight and learning together until 7:30, right? So we just want to let you know that we honor your time. And so we ask that you share your speaking time and space, that we honor your voice. And so we ask that we hear one voice at a time. We honor your presence, quiet spaces, and show your face if you can. We love to see people on camera, especially when it's time to say cheese. We honor your curiosity, so be sure to ask your questions and seek clarity for things that you may be unsure of. We also honor your respect, right? We want you to honor different perspectives and lived experiences because everyone is different and unique and special. And finally, we honor confidentiality. And so we want to make sure that we're sharing the learning and not the names or someone else's story. And so when you do decide to share, make sure you're sharing your own personal story, your own personal lived experiences, your own personal wisdom, and not necessarily someone else's, unless you're quoting someone that is famous or, you have the permission to quote them. Okay. So our community cafe, we hope that we are creating an environment where families, child serving professionals, and early education stakeholders can support each other's journey to improve and advance the quality of life for Black children and their families. And so I think we've been doing that for a few years now with our community cafes. And I think we just keep getting better and better. We keep finding speakers who just bring so much value to our community cafe. So, as Tatiana mentioned earlier, this is November is National Family Engagement Month. And so we're just going to share a quick video to celebrate that just for a moment. Awesome. So happy Family Engagement Month. If you didn't know, we still have a few days to continue to celebrate families. And with that, I am going to introduce our guest speaker for tonight. So, my apologies. Our theme for tonight is Rooted Together, Building Brighter Futures for Our Children. And again, the focus tonight is the partnership. Without families, we can't do what we do as educators or organizations, as well as families can't necessarily provide all of the things that educational institutions, agencies, programs provide for them. So our speaker tonight, I just want to tell a quick story. Relationships are the bomb. I met Chantel L. Roberts, who is the founder of Elevated Training Solutions, LLC. I went to a conference back at the beginning of October, and I went for my own professional development. And it's funny because I'm always representing BCDI-Atlanta as well as my own company. And she and I happened to meet. I don't even remember, Chantel, the exact circumstances on how we ran up on each other. But when she began to tell me about what she did, I said, oh my gosh, you would be perfect to be a speaker at some point to come and talk to our families. And so then when I realized this month was Family Engagement Month, I said, well, let me invite Chantel to speak. And she agreed and said yes. And so I am so excited to have her here with us tonight. And so I am going to turn over both the microphone and the screen to our guest speaker tonight, Chantel L. Roberts.
Thank you, Sharon, for that introduction. Hello, everyone. Good evening. I am Chantel Roberts, and I am coming from Columbia, South Carolina, where I will be discussing with you Elevated to Launching, how families and educators grow strong learners together. Like Sharon said, I am the founder of Elevated Training Solutions. I'm also the academic coach and the parent engagement consultant here at Elevated Training Solutions. I have a background in education. This is 21 years for me. I started as an elementary education teacher. Then I moved overseas to the Middle East and I taught early childhood for 3 years, and I fell in love with early childhood. I currently, when I returned back to the States, I started my own tutoring business under Elevated Training Solutions, and I'm starting to branch off into the consulting space. And I work part-time as an early childhood interventionist as a part of the early childhood assistance team here in Richland 1, where I provide support to pre-K students. So I'm glad to be here. So anytime I get to talk to families and talk about early childhood and learning, it's a blessing because it makes the whole situation full circle for me. And I tell people all the time, my introduction to school was at home. And so I always tell parents that you are your child's first teacher. And my mom was definitely my first teacher. She was not an educator, but what she gave to me and my brother was priceless, and I will share about that journey in a minute. I just want to let you know that this presentation and resources belong to Elevated Training Solutions, and they are intended for personal and educational use. So do not produce, sell, or distribute without any permission. And let's hop right in. Again, I am the founder, academic coach, lead consultant. I'm an international educator. If you look at that first picture, I graduated high school with the dream because I had an educational scholarship to South Carolina State University, and I graduated with my degree in elementary education. I taught in South Carolina for 9 years. I got teacher burnout. I ended up having this long dream of mine. I wanted to teach abroad, and that opportunity came full circle. And so in 2013, I packed up all my things and I moved to Abu Dhabi, UAE. I taught there for 6 years. My initial contract was only for 2, but that was my first introduction to early childhood, because in the States, I taught 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. When I got to the UAE, I was like, God, I know I asked for this, but I wasn't sure if this is what I was supposed to do. And I absolutely fell in love. Then once I came back, I started tutoring during the pandemic. I actually worked at a school, but then March, the pandemic hit, so I was jobless. So I had to go full-fledged in my tutoring business. And that's when I met some students that were starting school for the first time, and I was able to support them and their families on that journey. If you look at the last picture, that's just a picture of me doing some dial 4 screenings, because I am, like I said, an early childhood interventionist, and I provide the dial 4 screenings to those pre-K students coming into 4K. All right. Now, like I said, my mom was my first teacher, and that foundation she gave to me because she taught me along with my oldest brother, who is 3 years older than me. And I did hold my own. I made sure that I was in the midst of it because I wanted to know. Now, she didn't have, and this was in the 80s, so there was no internet. There was no, like, all of the resources and things that we currently have, but she was very intentional. She used those moments, those teachable moments that I always talk to parents about, is making sure that you are aware of what you're doing and just make sure you have time. So the problem that we have right now is that parents, they want to help, but they want to support the learning, but sometimes the information is not there. They don't know what to share. They don't have clear access. They don't feel confident enough. Educators, they want that partnership, but sometimes they don't have, they're burnt out. Like I said, they're stretched, they're overwhelmed, and often use how to make engagement simple. They kind of forget that. But clarity and access aren't consistent all the time. And so small steps fall through the cracks, and the kids actually are the ones who feel that. So that's why we have to be intentional. But the good news is the solution doesn't have to be complicated. So the power is in the partnership. When we partner, kids feel seen, they are safe, and they are supported. So when families and educators come together, something shifts. The kids begin to feel like they're being seen or heard, and the learning becomes firsthand to them, and they build that confidence, and they're not as stressed. Then we have the learning circle. So what does that learning circle include? Well, one side you have home, on the other side you have school, but also you have that surrounds that is the community. So together we create the circle of learning. So when these 3 things are connected, even the smallest way, children walk in learning spaces with security. They know what to expect. They know someone is cheering for them, and they know they're not alone. And I see that a lot with the students that I've tutored, and even going into the classroom. Sometimes I can get the students to say some things that they won't tell their teachers, and it's a one-on-one setting, so they feel more comfortable. And I had an experience today. One of my students, she had an attitude and she wasn't talking. She wouldn't even talk to her teachers. And so she wouldn't talk to me at first, but eventually she felt confident enough. So I just kept asking her questions. I was like, are you okay? Did you sleep last night? And she told me she was sleepy. So then we started doing some work. I said, do you want to play some of my games? And she was like, she, doing gestures and things. But then eventually she said, okay, you can write. And then she started talking again, and we just had a whole conversation. And then I told her, okay, I got to go see some more friends, but she didn't want me to leave. And I said, well, I'll be back to see you tomorrow. And she was like, I'm not going to be here. But I said, okay, well, I'll come to make sure you're going to be here. If not, I'll see you Thursday. So just knowing those little small moments or just being intentional and just asking the questions, they do go a long way. Now, what I'm about to introduce to you is the E2L framework. This is the elevated to launch framework. It includes building the bridge, walking the path, and launching together. So once you build that bridge, that means you get access. And sometimes parents or families are not aware, they don't have the access. So we have to make sure that they know what's happening, why it matters, and how to get what they need. So being intentional. And as they walk that path, this is where those small intentional home practices, the things that my mom did, came into play. It's not about worksheets. It's not long hour sessions. It's 2 to 3 minutes of connection and conversation. That can be in the morning when you wake up, that when you're brushing your teeth, that can be at night before they go to bed, reading a story, at dinner time, car rides, anywhere that you can put those 2 minutes in or 3 minutes in to make a connection or have a conversation, it matters and it benefits. And then we launch together, and this is where readiness sets in. This is when families feel confident, they ask questions, they can advocate for themselves, for their kids, when educators feel like they're supported, and when the community helps create that safe space. So this is that whole framework. So you walk that bridge, you go along that pathway, and then you're ready to launch. Now, those small intentional practices, those are like your routines. There are things that you do daily that you have to make sure that you are intentional, and then you set those routines, because every day, sometimes when I go see some of my kids, it's almost around lunchtime, and they know, they're like, it's almost lunchtime. And I was like, yep, you got about 20 more minutes before you go to lunch, or you got 10 minutes before you go to lunch. So just making sure they establish those routines, and those routines don't have to be anything that's out of the norm. So routines are simple too. There's something that you repeat daily, and they build stability and confidence. So like I was saying, those morning routine, you can say, what's one goal today that you want to accomplish? Be consistent. Have a homework spot that they go to every day when they're doing their work. Or at this time, we're going to read a book, or we're going to take a trip to the library every week, and you pick a day. So just being intentional about the time and establishing those routines. Then you talk about that rich language, the moments where you have to have conversations. Now, this is my 3rd year doing interventions with students, and I've noticed that each year the deficits are getting larger and larger. And this year was the bulk of the kids that did not come in speaking. I thought during the pandemic, I had a lot of students that were not verbal, but this year we have even more on our caseload. So everyday conversations are not happening at home. And so they're not able to grow that vocabulary. And it's not just, talking to them. Be intentional about what you're saying and what you're asking. Ask questions, frame it, and don't just ask a yes and no question. Ask those open-ended questions. Have them describe something to you. Talk about the objects or go through steps. Name those emotions, especially when they're having conflicts. I feel frustrated, I'm upset, so they will know what words to put with it, because they're not able to express themselves at that big age of 4. So a lot of them sometimes are crying, and we don't know why. But like I said, if I'm going to sit there and figure it out, I'm going to ask the questions, and eventually they will warm up and they will let you know. Also, shared expectations. So those are the things that home and schools are working together to accomplish. And so everybody knows what success looks like. So we have to celebrate those efforts, because they're not perfection. So 3 expectations. So you can say be kind or have kind hands, listening ears, and a trying heart. You want them to be able to try and not just give up, or you want them to be nice and sweet. So be kind to others and making sure that you are listening. Then when we have these intentions together, these don't take extra money or extra hours. It's just intentionality. And that's the beauty of the simple steps. when you are intentional about them. I know I went through kind of fast. Are there any questions before I continue or any comments? All right. So what can families do? Families, the most powerful habit is a 2 to 3 minute conversation. So that's when I was talking about on those car rides or during dinner or before bed. Those things work. So tell me something you learned today. Kids love to teach. I do this all the time with my students. And I say, oh, I forgot how to do this. Can you show me how to make a letter A? Or can you show me how to do this? And they'll be glad to do it. So again, making those connections and also being intentional about what you're saying and doing with them, it works. You can also just say, well, what did you do today? What did you have for lunch? Tell me a little bit more about it. That goes a long way. So that's for families. Now, what can educators do? One positive touch point a week. Here's one thing your child did well today. So you don't want to always bombard parents with the negative. You want to have something positive and let them know that their child is working towards something. So it could be a quick photo, a note, it could be a voice note. Here's that one thing they did today. And this builds that trust, that partnership, that rest that continues to go. And that's something that I've heard a lot of the parents that I've tutored students with that would say like, oh, I always heard the negative things from the teachers and not the positive. So we have to change the narrative and making sure that they are being heard and seen as well. And for the community, what community leaders can do, they can create that learning space, safe spaces for learning. So it's a table, a corner, a moment, all of it matters. Small things like sharing the table for kids to read, if they have a corner for homework, all of that makes a difference because sometimes kids don't feel comfortable and they don't feel like they should say things to their teachers, but sometimes outside people can get them to do things that their classroom teacher cannot get them to do, or even you as parents. I've seen it as well with some of the students I've tutored. Some of them have shared things with me that they have not shared with their parents, but I will tell them, okay, you're going to have to tell your mom that, or I'm going to have to tell my mom what you shared with me. And it's not saying that I'm taking away their trust, but I'm letting them know that's something that's important that you must be able to tell your parents so we can work together to get you to the help that you need. And when we work together, when we partner, the kids soar. So all of these things combined, they strengthen the home, the school, and the community. And when that happens, those kids become confident, they feel happy, they are joyous, and they have stability. So one small step, my question to you is, what's one thing that you will do this week? How would you connect or strengthen the relationship that you have already with your students or your child? Or what can you do to make a big change? Because together we can elevate and we can launch.
Well, for me, I teach second step. I'm lead pre-K teacher, so I use the second step social emotional curriculum. And one of the things that we talked about this week is knowing when you're frustrated. Like one of the card is about the children learn how to tie the shoes. So just being more intentional and in helping the children be able to express their emotions. That's something I work on.
Yes. And I see it a lot because they have really big feelings and they don't know how to share their emotions. And so what they do, they cry, they scream, they throw things, they just act out. And it's like, well, what's wrong with you? One of my students, she would tell me every day I would go, she's hungry, but come to find out she's not eating her breakfast in the morning and they don't go to lunch until 11 o'clock. And if you're not eating breakfast at 7:30, you're really going to be hungry. So being intentional, like she's looking at everybody else in the cafeteria, but I was like, you got to eat your food. But I'm not there in the morning at that time, but I may go one day early just to see if she's eating her food. So she'll know, okay, well, she did come. She's been talking to me about it. So now she's here. And so then she'll see that, well, she really does care about me because I want her to be able to be successful. So if she's not eating and she's hungry, she's not going to do anything else the rest of the day. And then she's like, well, I want my snack or I want this. And I was like, well, snack time is not till later, but you go to lunch first. So please make sure you eat your lunch. So yes, please be intentional about that because they have a lot of big feelings and they do not know how to express it. Is there anybody else that has something that they will do this week or try to make an attempt?
I'm gonna add one thing. What I do appreciate about the different scenarios across the parent, the educator, and the community is each one you talked about building trust. I have a 13-year-old and I have a 6-year-old. So the 13-year-old, as she's getting older, I want her to trust me more to have those hard conversations. So I try to keep that in mind as I'm asking her certain questions, not just saying, hey, did you have a good day? But being intentional. Well, what were some things that happened? What were some things that you experienced throughout your day? Because I want her, she's away for 4 years of being away from me in college. So I want her to be able to hop in the car, as you mentioned, routine to say, Mom, this is what I did today. This is what I learned. This is what I experienced. And my 6-year-old, she does that. If I say, hey, how was your day? Well, today I learned this, I learned that, or because I've been doing it really, really consistently, even more with the little one, but the older one now asking different kind of thought-provoking questions to engage conversations. But again, going back to whether I'm a parent, I'm also an educator, but I'm also a community leader and keeping trust at the forefront. So thank you for bringing that up.
You're welcome. Thank you for sharing that. Because I have my nieces and nephew, they're older, and most of them, they don't like to talk, but texting, they may say some things over text message, and then I say, well, maybe we need to sit and talk about that. What are you doing? Let's go for a ride. Let's go get something to eat, to see if they would share even more about what they were talking about via text. Because they don't like to share, but opening that door and making sure that they're comfortable. And I think that's the thing. Sometimes they're thinking, oh, you're mom and mom is going to do this to me if I tell her that. And that was something that my mom always did. She was like, no matter what it is, I'm here for you, so you can tell me anything. And it's not saying that you will get in trouble, because I think sometimes they think they're gonna get in trouble, but being able to share that information and say, okay, this is what happened, and being able to listen to and not be upset as the parent. So that's also another thing as well.
Awesome. I have to jump in here. I have two things I actually want to address. And I guess I'm addressing them as an organist from a community leadership perspective. One of the things that we are trying to stress as we work with educators is the piece that is so important about supporting families. I have been in many educational environments, both early childhood, birth to 5, as well as at the elementary level. And one of the things I think that has gotten lost is building those relationships with families and establishing them very early on in the year. And I saw a reel this morning, and it made me think about it. This conversation took me back to it. She's a teacher, and they had parent-teacher conferences at her school because they had just done report cards. And she was saying, guess how many parents came for parent-teacher conference? And she said 0. 0 came. None. They didn't, no calls, no requests, none. And then her statement was, so they must not care. Mm-hmm. And that hit me, because I think that often we do make that judgment that because the parents are not involved, they're not coming to the school, I'm sending you letters home to say your child is failing and you're not responding. You just don't care about your child. And I want to encourage us as a community to not say those things about parents, because I think every parent, unless there's some serious issue going on, right? Every parent loves their child and every parent wants their child to do well. I just think that some parents just don't know what that means. They don't know what that looks like. If I am a third generation from a family of dropouts who never really made it past the 7th or 8th grade, never, parents weren't involved. How do I know, as the third generation of this cycle, what do I know? My parents didn't come to the school and I turned out okay. And I think it's not a matter of parents not caring. I think it's a matter of us really working hard to establish those relationships and find out, what is that family's circumstances? Are we working? Does the parent work from 3 to 10? And so anything after 3 is not conducive for them. Or are they at work all day? Are you offering virtual parent-teacher conference opportunities? And so it just really struck me, because I know she was frustrated because she said she has 2 groups, a morning and afternoon, and she has 50 kids total. And 50% of her children in each of those sessions are failing. And so I could feel her frustration as an educator. Like, we don't want that. This is 4th grade and your babies are struggling. She's reading in English, ELA. And she said, I could feel her frustration. And I know as educators who really care, we do have that frustration when we feel like we're not getting the support from home. But I would like for the message to be to not make the assumption that parents don't care, but make the assumption there has to be a real reason why this parent is not engaging, and then take the effort to help them to understand. And it will get frustrating if parents are not. We're dealing with some frustration now with people not responding to our efforts, but we're not going to give up, because if we give up, to me, we're giving up on the children if we give up on the families. And so if we say that our goal is to support the children, and we want the children to be great readers by 3rd grade, and we want them to succeed, and we want them to be able to grow up and be responsible, contributing citizens, then we can't give up on the family, because the video, right? Families are everything. The words that we said, foundation, unity, togetherness, like all of those things that we said family is, that's what the families are to the children. So we have to figure out how to reach the families. For everyone, it'll look different. And so I had 2 things, and I'm gonna be quiet because I talked a long time. So I'm gonna give space for someone else. And I do have one other thing once everyone has had an opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Sharon, for that. Anyone else?
I'll just join in quickly. And sorry, my camera is off right now, but working with my student teachers, I have to constantly, I'm trying to be sensitive how I say this. So I have a lot of student teachers from a different persuasion who may work with students at Title I schools, and they don't understand the dynamics. So I'm constantly having to share with them to look at their own biases, their stereotypes, and be more culturally responsive of the needs of the students, and understand, who they're working with. And even in this kind of deviating away from with parenting, but for an example, and I know this kind of away from, for an example, when I'm coaching them about the teaching skills, or how one teacher elevates her voice and they think a teacher is yelling, I had to tell them to understand the culture is not yelling. It is a cultural thing about our tone and all of those things. So having to work with these student teachers to understand what their biases are. And I tell them that we all have them. We all do. I have some myself, we all put people in a box. So once they have better clarity of who they're working with and why some of the behaviors exist, it helps them to do better in the classroom. And I've seen that within like 2 or 3 weeks, a difference in their behaviors and how they're acting and responding towards the students and the parents.
Good. That's good. And so, like, also, I've noticed as I'm diving more deeper into this parent engagement piece, is that we're trying to put them into the system, but the system is not working for the parents. And so we have to figure out how can we change it, because those problems, they're having different problems than people had back then. So it's not saying that they can't show up. Okay, well, a lot of parents, they're working. Some of them work multiple jobs. So it depends on when they are available, they may come. I've also did a survey and I got some feedback on parents, and they were saying, some said something about childcare. Some said about virtual options. So in the times of day, being available to come to the school. So I think because of the world, where the world went with the virtual option, people are more prone to those options now versus getting up and going out. But then you got to think about the times that we have these activities. That's 5, 6 o'clock. A lot of parents are getting off. That's dinner time for some people. So you want me to pack up all the kids, bring them here to the school. I don't understand why I'm coming to the school. What is the benefit of me coming? And then I got to take them all the way back home. I got to feed them and everything. So something I've been telling principals and stuff is like, how about have a meal, something that will take something off their plate that allow them to come, and they can say, okay, I will come. That means when I get home, I don't have to do nothing but get the kids ready for bed, and that's it. So then we have to go into the communities and find those partners, these restaurants, because we do buy food from these restaurants. They can donate some things to us to make sure that we are able to provide that meal for those parents. And we don't have to do it every single time, but that will be something that could get them in the door. They will say, oh, I'll come for a meal, because again, people want to be incentivized. So we have to make sure we're looking at the incentives and they are meaningful to them in their situations.
I fully agree with that. All points made, but definitely meeting families where they are. And it's a big task because you're only one person, one teacher. And currently, as an instructional coach working with my first year teachers, the first thing I shared with them is that you have to establish relationship with the families. And once the families know that you care, many of them will, some quicker than others, whatever you ask of them to do, however you want them to support, they're willing to do it once they know that you care. And
Absolutely.
so that's one of the main things. And so in my current work, as I talk with my first year teachers, that's the main thing. Because I said, before you can teach children well, you have to know them, you have to learn them. I said, and you have to love them first. I said, that includes their families. And so that's the biggest thing. And so in my work now, I'll continue to encourage that. And even as a mom, with the soon to be graduating senior, ooh, and
Oh,
my one and only, and she's my daughter, and so raising her through the years, having those intentional conversations, and even when you're thinking you're having all the great conversations, things can still happen because there's influence
right.
outside of our influence as parents that you would never know, as much as you talk to your child, as much as you engage them, that they have issues and problems that sometimes they will never, say anything to you about, no matter how much they talk to you. And so when you were sharing that information earlier, it really spoke to my heart. But I'm glad that from age of 15 was a tough year. And then now she's just turned 18 and, like I said, graduating. But continuing those conversations now, even as a senior, even, as a new 18-year-old, it's just important that we continue to have those conversations, and then as parents make ourselves available,
Mhm.
and pull them out of that room sometimes and say, hey, come on to the living room with me, or let's eat dinner at the table, to be able to have those conversations and to be available. And so I'm enjoying this conversation tonight from the perspective as an educator and as a mom. So good
Awesome.
information.
Thank you. Congratulations to your daughter too.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So yes, and I've also noticed the same thing because like some of my students, I've had them since the pandemic that I've been tutoring. And one of my students, she lost her grandfather during the pandemic, and then her father passed away like maybe less than a year after. And it was traumatic for her. And she gravitated towards my dad. And so I told him, I said, you don't know what you're doing for her. I said, because she's looking at you because you're feeling that void. And she calls him Papa. She calls my mom her Gigi. And like he will send her cards for like Easter or like for honor roll and stuff like that. And I said, you don't know what you're doing for her. I said, because she lost the most important men in her life. And I said, these are some things that she will never forget. Like she called me not too long ago before I was going on, but I told her I was busy. So that's the type of relationship we have established. Her mom knows me. Like I even visited them 2 years ago. We met in person because everything was completely over the computer. And she's basically a part of the family. She knows everybody and everybody knows her.
That's precious. It does take a community. And,
Mhm.
we use the word tribe kind of loosely, but it is very important that we have a tribe, and it's not always our blood. And
Right.
so, yeah.
Yes, I still do believe in that old adage, it takes a village, and that's her village. I had a real good village growing up, and so I want to be a part of a village for other kids, and that's another reason why I did create Elevated Training Solutions. But now more so, I know I'm able to help the students, but then also in that process, I was able to educate parents. And so that's what made me go into this parent engagement because I've seen the support and how my parents advocate for their kids now after asking me questions or having me there to coach them along. And I said, well, this can be something if I can get into the schools and help them too. So then I'm killing two birds with one stone. I'm helping the students and I'm helping the parents as well.
Ooh, this is good stuff. We had Sheila raised her hand and then Brittany. So Sheila will take you and then Brittany, and then I won't go because I don't want us to go over and I want Chantel to be able to finish her presentation.
Okay,
That was
I'm
a
almost to
mistake.
the end.
Yeah, that was a mistake. I was trying to find the right button.
Okay.
Okay. So Brittany, you're on.
Okay. Okay. I know with me as a teacher, I want the connections with my families because I feel like it'll help me better support them in the classroom. And I do find they do help me with dealing with behaviors because, hey, I have that relationship with the parents. So as a child, you see me talking to your parents, so I'm gonna respect you. You got respect for my mom and dad while you talk to me. So I just feel like having those connections with families help within the classroom. And I know during COVID, when the parents couldn't come in, that kills me because I thrive off having those relationships with families. So I really think that helped with support and development, and when it come down to dealing with behaviors.
Absolutely. Yes. Well, thank you everybody for your comments and how this has helped you. Like I said, these one small steps just once a day are those connections. They're meaningful. And this is coming to the end. I do have a survey if you don't mind. I would love your feedback to see what else I can support you with. Also, once you complete the survey, there is the ETS One Small Step checklist. I can drop that link in the chat if you don't have a phone to scan it. And then if there are any questions, it's time for questions and answers. And I am thankful. Thank you again, Sharon and Tatiana, for allowing me to come to BCDI, the community cafe. I'm glad we did get to meet in Atlanta when I was there during SFE. So I'm thankful and I can't wait to see what else I can bring to BCDI.
Listen, this was good stuff. And so if you didn't make it to the live, you missed your opportunity to hear it firsthand, but we have the comment section. So as you watch the replay, please make sure that you are commenting, because we can go back and read those comments. Chantel can go back in and perhaps answer some of those questions that you may have. You still have will have her information to be able to contact her. But this was good stuff, as it just aligned, Chantel. I don't believe in coincidences. And so I think that, we met at the perfect time. Oh, okay. Yes. Charlene needs the link for the survey.
Okay.
She's on her phone. But yeah, we appreciate this information, the opportunity. And I do have a question, and I hope it doesn't throw you. I know you talked about your framework, the EL2 framework, and I was wondering if you could talk just a little bit more about the framework and what it is, or how you use it when you're working with families. And is that something that is, like trademarked by you, or is the framework something that you encourage other entities to utilize?
This is something that I came up with. It will be trademarked by me, but it's just making sure that they are aware, because sometimes when parents come in, they don't know what the problem is. So giving them that awareness, or even with schools, since I'll be doing the engagement, so it's some kind of diagnostic to actually find out what areas we need to focus on. And then as we are walking through that pathway, what are those practices? What do we do? So if it's a parent, like, what is the plan that we will work on to help your child get those skills that they're missing? Or if it's coaching, or if it's a program. And then with schools, it's like actually getting the data from either the educators, the principal themselves, and the parents to find out what family engagement looks like. And then building a plan. And I come in and I actually do the family engagement pieces, the workshops with them. And it's intentional and it's based off of the data that they give me, or the information where they're lacking, if it's literacy or if it's math. And then I give them, they have access to the touch points, because they can actually see from the dashboard how it impacts student engagement. So, or it impacts their overall scores based on that, because data shows that if parents are engaged, those students have greater scores. And so just making sure that they can see that connection, but most times it's like they're looking for attendance, but are you actually tracking it to see how it impacts student achievement?
Awesome. I thank you for that deeper explanation. You've got my wheels a churning.
You're welcome.
Over here as I think about BCDI-Atlanta and the work that we do with families. So yeah, I appreciate that explanation. Thank you.
You're welcome. Also, I'll be doing a webinar coming up on the 2nd. And if you would like to continue the conversation, this is more around parents being their child's first teacher. I will go more in depth and share those personal stories. And I will also drop that link in the chat as well, if you would like to register to attend.
Awesome.
So let me get that link for the survey.
Absolutely. And just because I may not have an opportunity to grab it from the chat, if you'll email that link.
Yes, ma'am.
So that I can put it in the follow-up, as well as put it in the description when we do put the YouTube video up. And when is the webinar?
December 2nd at 6:30.
Okay, good. Okay, so there's time for us to continue to get the word out. Okay, awesome. Well, if anyone has any other questions or concerns for Chantel. We want to thank you again. We don't want you to leave just yet. If you can stay till the end, that'd be great. If not,
I can.
You'll learn a little bit more about our organization. But guys, this was absolutely amazing. Good conversation, good information, good connection, good network. Like I said, I'm just glad that Chantel is now a part of the BCDI Atlanta family. You know, once you come and work with us, we go together now.
Yes.
So we will definitely we look forward to this just being the very first time that you work with us, and we look forward to it in the future. So if no one else has anything, if you are in a place where you can come on camera and you have good lighting, it is time for us to do our group photo so that we can. And if not, Brittany may not come off, but she has her photo on her on her screen. Her I don't even know what I'm trying to say. What is it? The blackout, whatever. All right. Oh, there she is. Okay. Well, we have everybody on screen. All right. And so, yep. Fix your glasses. Fix the hair. Anybody need to touch up on the lips? And I'm going to do a countdown, and I'm going to take 2 or 3. I think get 2. Hey, Charlene, there she is. All right, so ready, and let's say BCDI.
BCDI.
Okay, that was 1. We're going to do 1 more. If you want to change your pose, you can. If not, just say cheese again and smile. And 1, 2, and 3. Awesome, awesome. You guys look amazing. Thank you so much for that. I'm going to go back to sharing my screen so that we can finish out and get everybody out of here on time. And so we just did our group photo. I'm so glad we put these in now so that we don't forget to take our photo, because that's something I get caught up and would forget. So it is survey time for us. And I don't have the link in the chat. However, I will grab it for you quickly. It will also, I know we just talked about this in our data meeting. It will also be in the follow-up email that you will get. And you know what, Tatiana, I believe I had this open and I closed it. So let me see. I want to say if I click on, oh, that gives me the video. Okay, that's not what I wanted. All right, I'll grab the link shortly and then we'll come back to this. How about that? Because I don't want to waste time. And so if I don't get to it, it will be in your follow-up email. And we ask that you fill it out as because we don't get a lot of feedback sometimes, even though we give this time, we still end up. And I think what happens is people may open it and start it and not finish it and forget. So maybe in the follow-up email is better, but please make sure that you do fill out the survey, because it helps us with our data and it helps us to know what has been valuable to you and if we had things that may not have worked. And so I'm going to share our upcoming events. So we do have an office closure coming up for the holiday break. So from November 24th through the 28th, we will be closed. Our offices will be closed. And so hopefully there are no emergencies. I know that Tatiana won't, but I will be working that week. And so if something happens and you really, really need to get in touch, if you send the email to me at shudgens@bcdiatlanta.org. I will be checking my emails next week, but only if it's an emergency situation and you just have to have the information before that Monday after Thanksgiving. And our village meeting, our quarterly village meeting, our next meeting is January 13th, 2026. I cannot believe that we are already publishing dates with 26. I just got used to 25. And that meeting starts at 6:30. It is also on the second Tuesday of the month. And we only do these meetings 4 times a year. They are open to the public. We encourage membership definitely to be there, our members to come, but it is a meeting that is open to the public where we talk about where we are with the organization, and sometimes we will have guest speakers as well to come and present on a topic around those 8 essential outcomes Tatiana talked about earlier. Our lean lattes and learning. We are so excited about our December lattes and learning, the final one for the year. And we're doing something a little different. We are having our Sip, Share, and Spark New Possibilities, a data party. And so you heard me talking about data. We collect data all year long, and we're going to take this 2-hour session to take time to have a look at the data, to talk about what it means, to talk about what we've accomplished, and to do some visioning for 2026. So as we are planning next year, looking for grant funding, thinking about our programs and evaluating the effectiveness of our programs, what can we do better? How can we improve our impact? So we hope that you will be able to make it. If it happens from 12 to 2, if you happen to take your lunch break, even if you can't join us for the entire session, pop in when you can. We want all of the voices of our community to be heard during this time. So make sure that you go to the website and register for our lattes and learning in December. All right. So as Tatiana said, we like to provide resources, and these are 2 of the resources. The Nurture Journal is one. So we have 2 editions, and we are crossing our fingers for 2026 to come out with our 3rd volume of our Nurture Journal. But these are free for you to download. Lots of good information, peer-reviewed journal articles, good information if you're doing research or even if you just want to know something. So we encourage you to go to our website to publications and download our Nurture journals. We also have activity guides. And so this is November. Our activity guides, we have, I think, 13 of them currently on our website. And what these guides are useful for educators as well as families. And at one point, we realized that we were not addressing the children all the way to 8. So we did for the 0 to 5. And so we started also making activity guides for children ages 6 to 8. And so November was all around healthy eating, lots of activities in these guides that hit different areas of learning for children. And like I said, there are fun things to do that you could do both in the classroom and at home. So once again, a free resource. Now, when we start charging for it, you're going to wish you had downloaded it while it was free. So make sure that you're sending this information to your network of educators or your network of families and encouraging them to come to our website and again, download these valuable resources. All right, ways to get involved with BCDI Atlanta. Well, those of you who are here are already getting involved. Those of you who are watching, you are involved too, because you are taking advantage of the information that we share through our events. But in addition to that, you can share your story with us. We have our impact stories, and let me tell you, they do make a difference when we are able to share those videos or share those quotes and those stories that people share with us to our funders, because it's not just us saying, hey, look, this is what we did. It's our community that's saying, hey, this is how we benefit from what BCDI Atlanta does. So make sure that you go in and share your stories of the impact that we have had in your life. We also have our donation page. We are a nonprofit organization, and so we are funded through your donations and our funders. And so give today, tomorrow, next week, next month, give every month. But we encourage you to donate to BCDI Atlanta. And if you are, I know everybody's under a little crunch right now. If you can't donate monetarily right now, we will also take donations of your time. And so you can always reach out to us at info@bcdiatlanta.org and let us know, or my email, and let us know if you are looking for volunteer opportunities. All right. The next thing you could do is to become a member. That's another way we raise funds. We are a membership-driven organization with a paid membership, and we now have digital membership cards. We haven't made it to physical cards, but we do have digital cards that you can download. And if you want to laminate it and put it in your wallet to show that you're a BCDI Atlanta member, to encourage others to become a member, we also would like your support there. And finally, not the last thing, but the last thing on this slide, subscribe to our newsletter, because that's how you will know what the happenings are at BCDI Atlanta. We do a monthly newsletter, and we also do e-blast once or twice during the month, depending on what else comes up during that month that we want to get out to you that may not have made it to the newsletter. So make sure that you are subscribed to our newsletter so that you can keep up with what we're doing. And sometimes we have surprise spotlights, so you never know when you might see yourself in our newsletter. So make sure that you subscribe to our newsletter. And finally, we just want to say a huge thank you to our speaker. Thank you to everyone who was able to join us this evening. And thank you to all of you who are watching the replay. We appreciate you so much. I think that you don't know the value that you have. We get excited when we go to our YouTube channel and see that people have been watching our videos. So make sure that you continue. Don't just watch this one. Peruse. We have plenty of videos that you can take some time to look at to see what's been going on at BCDI Atlanta. Below is how you can contact us, our phone number, our website, our email, and we are at BCDI Atlanta on all social media platforms. We are part of Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So you can find us by searching at BCDI Atlanta. Make sure you join us and follow us and subscribe to those channels as well, so that you can keep up and engage with us there. And you can post your events and things as well. So when you have things, so Chantel, you're having that your webinar coming up, feel free to go to our site and post, make a post about your information so that those people who are joining us on social media will see what's happening. Okay.
Okay.
Yay, everyone. Chantel, any final words? Tatiana, any final words?
No, thank you again. I enjoyed myself. I love the opportunity, and I can't see what else that happens next. Can't wait.
Awesome. Tati.
I just wanted to say thank you, Chantel, and for the team for joining, and for those who are watching. And we truly appreciate the community and the village that we continue to build to, again, fulfill our mission to support Black children, families, as well as our educators. So thank you all, everyone, for being here. We're truly grateful.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And with that, you all get some time back in your evening. So once again, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing you at Chantel's webinar. And again, on December 12th at our Lean Lattes and Learning Gathering. Have a good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.